Hi, it's iRacing commentator David Haynes. In 2019, I'm excited to be bringing coverage of the Champ Car Sim Series, the sim racing division of the Champ Car Endurance Series. Contested across 15 championship rounds using the 2015 Mazda MX-5, the winners will receive a free entry into a real Champ Car Endurance Series race in the 2020 season. Each points round will be broadcast live by HJBC. Head to forum.champcar.org for full information and schedule. Sign-ups are open, so get registered now. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the track. The Charlotte road course has seen many updates in the last couple of years, making it a home to all sorts of interesting motor racing, a challenge for drivers, a delight for spectators, and tonight Reddit iRacing League comes to you from Charlotte Roval with the Radical SR8 cars. 45-minute race ahead of us, qualifying underway right now. A couple of drivers with a couple more laps to still put on the board. See Paul Fitzgerald just cross the line and put in a time good enough for 20th place. But we look forward to this race tonight. Our producer is going to be Mr. Kyle Smith. I'm David Haynes, and joining us back on HJBC for the first time in a little while, it is Aaron Thacker. And Aaron, how are you doing?
David, it is a pleasure to be back. It was a wonderful vacation. I was staying at the Tom and Z Bed and Breakfast up in the Catskills. Truly a 5-star resort. Could not be more thrilled with my vacation. I'm relaxed. I'm refreshed. And David, I have come back. The points championship could not be hotter. The leader, Alex Albert, is with only a 23-point lead over our points seat 2, Giovanni Romano. And David, we've got ourselves a battle on our hands with just 3 races left in season 27.
Yeah, indeed, we're at that pointy end of that championship. Evan Merrill's just put himself on pole position right now. Giovanni Romano, a name you mentioned, it's currently second on this grid. Hunter Reeve is testing some unconventional lines out there. I don't think he'll be able to use those during the race, but talking about this circuit here, it's difficult to pass. It's difficult to lap cleanly by yourself. The walls are everywhere. Some of the curbs are pretty brutal, and of course there's that backstretch chicane that's been reprofiled since last year, and that's now a lot slower, a lot tougher of a braking zone, but maybe a better overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that, as you so coined it, the snake pit with a previous broadcast here. But yeah, David, this track has 17 turns, and I truly don't know where a lot of them end and where a lot of them begin, because this is a very unique setup. And my goodness, you've got to watch out for those curbs, as they will bite you. These cars do not like those curbs, get a lot of wheel hop, and along with that, you've really got to be careful with the throttle here. So I anticipate we're going to see some pirouetting tonight, maybe some 11s laid down, exiting some corners, and let's hope everybody's a little bit responsible. But it looks like we've got about 2 minutes left here in quali. What does our timing sheet look like?
Well, there's a couple of drivers still testing the limits out on the circuit there, but Evan Merrill looks like no one is going to be able to take pole position away from him. 1 minute 13.708 per my numbers. Giovanni Romano in second there at the moment. Alex Albert looks like he's got third, so second row start for him in a 45-minute race. One thing that I think might save some of our drivers from a little bit of embarrassment is the fixed setup for tonight's race. I believe I've heard is relatively safe, relatively stable. So it'll be equal wing settings and suspension for everyone, starting with 7.1 gallons. So we will expect to see a pit stop in tonight's race as well.
Yeah, we're going to watch that, but it's really interesting to see how this setup works. I was watching lots of practice and still plenty of spinning going on. So I think some of the more unseasoned drivers may have a hard time, but some of the more skilled drivers will probably benefit from this setup. But yeah, we're going to see tons of drafting tonight. We've got still NASCAR 2 and NASCAR 1 and NASCAR 2 in play, as well as NASCAR 3 and NASCAR 4. So it's going to be a big drafting game. Also, possibility with some fuel savings, David. So we do have a night race tonight with a very comfortable 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm not entirely sure if the guys are looking to take some tires tonight, but it's gonna be a good one. So we got 30 seconds left. Let's see we've got a few cars and trucks. Alex Crawford's looking to possibly improve his lap time. He's approaching NASCAR. Oh, when he touches the wall there, that was going to be a fast time for him. But Alex Crawford not going to improve with just about 15 seconds left in this quality session.
And that's something to look out for. The wall is right at the racing line there. This is it's a Roval, but that sort of behaves a lot like a street circuit, especially the exit of turn 1 of the Roval here. You track all the way out to the wall, and that's true in several places. So drivers are going to need to give a little bit more respect during the race. Another bumper grid for Reddit iRacing League. I suppose this radical has now become free content, and so too is the circuit. So no excuses for anyone to not show up. And what we do get here at Charlotte is this fantastic starting procedure where all the cars are gridded up, sort of like a Le Mans start, and then they all sort of peel off in a line. Now come up behind that Porsche pace car. I believe we're going to get a full pace lap for our rolling start. And I think this is a great time to get your camera out, take a photo of all of our beautiful and somewhat less beautifully liveried machines all lined up ready for a race start. And let's go through that grid right now while we're waiting, because Evan Merrill is going to be your pole man, ahead of Giovanni Romano. That second row is going to be Alex Albert and Brian Molitor. Then John Patrick and Nate Franklin share row 3. And then behind that, Antonio Alvarez and Alexander Bueller.
Yeah, that's right. Then we got Alex Crawford, Steven Sims, Jordan Babcock, Babs Nation is here tonight, Thomas Ellison, Michael Derby, Andrew Fawcett, Zach Price, David K. Hall, Daniel Bartz, Shane Cameron, Justin Lamons, and Adam Adamczyk rounds out your top 20. Paul Fitzgerald, Matthew Hall, Sean King, Eric Miller, Ben Fawcett in a P25, Ryan Verhulst, Justin Hall, Stanley Wahlberg, and Hunter Reeve rounding out our very large 29 car field. And David, I just want to have a quick call. You mentioned the beautiful liveries on these cars. And David, we are able to see these liveries tonight because this track has lights.
Yeah, indeed, that's one of the benefits of the track being entirely contained within the oval course, is it's pretty well lit, although it is the evening and we are going to get some nice looking headlight effects off these radical SR8 sort of sport prototype cars. The track is mostly illuminated by those floodlights that surround the circuit, so wherever you're sitting, be a great place for a good viewing. Pace car now pulling away, and all the cars mostly in order are going to line up. Alexander Bueller tried to jump the gun just a little bit, but our cars all pulling away. The last 4 that you mentioned didn't have any qualifying time, so Verhulst, Hall, Wahlberg, and Hunter Reeve did not set a valid time in qualifying. Some of them might not have attempted, but I didn't actually have my eyes on that. But certainly from 25th forwards, they all set at least one valid lap time during qualifying. So everyone's pulled away now. They are lined up 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. They are eagerly anticipating this race start. High temperatures might be something to think about, at least at the start of this race, and so too will be survival.
Yeah, survival indeed. You're going to want some temperature in those fronts, but you're going to want to keep those rears as moderately temperatured as possible, as these cars are going to heat these rears up pretty quick. David, I am going to take a quick moment to run down our points. Like I said, we've got 3 races left, so Alex Albert is leading the championship with 237 points. Giovanni Romano and Nate Franklin are tied for P2 with 214. Andrew Fawcett, P4 in points. Antonio Alvarez running up the top 5 with 202. Alex Crawford, Shane Cameron, John Patrick, Thomas Ellison, and Daniel Bartz in P10 in championship points with 166 points. So keep in mind those names tonight and those cars on track because there is a points battle. But David, that top three group separated by 23 points, and Giovanni Romano and Nate Franklin tied. That is pretty exciting. And David, I did take a quick look. Where are those two on track tonight?
2nd and 6th. So Giovanni Romano starting on the front row bodes well for him. He likes an oval, even if it is a roval like this. Nate Franklin, you cannot count out from 6th place because that is just on the 3rd row for when we go racing. So he'll be there and thereabouts with it as well.
Yeah, I think so. The guys are coming through a very difficult section right here. This is a redesigned section in iRacing. Before, it was a little bit nastier. I think there's a little more reprieve this time, but you have to watch out for that left side while exiting. It looks like you've got a really nice extended runoff there, but I wouldn't trust how much track you have there. And I'm just going to tell these drivers, don't go too wide there, but David, there's a good chance that nobody's going to listen to me. We're probably going to see at least 1 or 2 attempts to go too wide there tonight.
Yep, certainly. There'll be some battles, there'll be some positions made, and some happy faces and some sad faces in Reddit iRacing League at the end of this round. But Evan Merrill at the pointy end of the field puts the power down early and then skips the chicane on the first lap. That will presumably cost Evan Merrill dearly, and indeed it does. He's getting swamped now. Giovanni Romano is into the lead. Alex Albert, your points leader, is going to follow through as well. Everyone twitching about on cold tires at this start. Evan Merrill thought he was going to get a great jump, but then he's come into the chicane too hot. That is a horrible start from Evan Merrill, and Giovanni Romano and Alex Albert were in position to pounce.
Yeah, that was a wild moment right there. Evan Merrill got a huge jump, but he just flat out, I don't know if he forgot to brake, didn't have the brakes up to temperature, the tires weren't warm, but David, he completely blew it, so he likely got a course cut, had to slow down, so his fantastic qualifying lap time has been null and void, and Alex Albert and Giovanni Romano are pulling away right now as we're watching a battle for first.
Using that slipstream that you mentioned on NASCAR 1 and 2, Alex Albert closed in a little bit on Giovanni Romano. Romano has to defend into the backstretch chicane, but it has been successful. He holds on to that, but there's a car around. Nate Franklin is having a lot of trouble there. I think he's on his lid. That is not a great lap one for him.
No, that is not. I'm checking out right now. Yeah, this looks like it may be self-inflicted. Yeah, it was a self-inflicted spin all by himself and then got a real heavy tag on the left rear, and I think he has... Yeah, there's also been instances in front of him as well, but Nate Franklin looks like he's going to be okay. He's going to drive into the pit so I can take a fast repair. But, David, whoa, is this a little early to take that fast repair and potentially your pit stop?
Yeah, so a couple cars that have been tangled up in there and got a bit of damage. I'm seeing on pit road right now, Tom Ellison, Andrew Fawcett, Nate Franklin, and Sean Haug. Someone made contact with Franklin as he rolled backwards after his spin. I didn't quite catch who it was in a deep green car. But at the lead of the race, Giovanni Romano is now a little bit more comfortable with a couple of tenths of a second in hand ahead of Alex Albert. It's a bit of a 4-car breakaway, though, because Evan Merrill's still trying to stay in touch, and we know he can be quick in this car. It looks like he's sorted out some of his issues. No, he's around again, so Evan Merrill, more struggles. Another driver falling victim to the snake pit.
Yeah, I just want to say again, he just came in a little too hot. Wow, he really, really was super late in the brakes. Yeah, David, he caught the left side of his tires, caught a little bump. This car gets hopping, and that is the end of it. Very good job getting it whipped around. Nice, safe re-entry. But my goodness, Evan Merrill continues to have some very tough troubles. We're going to ask our producer to go down to the battle between P12, 13, 14, 15. Things are heating up down there.
Yeah, we'll have a look down there and a couple cars around. Nate Franklin, is that again? Who was that going around?
Yeah, I'm
Matthew Hall and Daniel Bartz, I think, having some trouble on the exit of turn 1. More cars encountering some issues, picking up some damage. This has been a very brutal start to the race, and we've seen that especially the curb in the entrance to the snake pit has caught out a couple drivers, really unsettling these lightweight prototypes.
Yeah, it has. We've just also seen a spin by Jordan Babcock. Just entering NASCAR 2 and 3 a spin. He sat in the middle of the track. That was a safe move for him, but a couple cars had some issues. But yeah, I'm going to ask our producer to go back to P11. Oh, Michael Derby just gets completely smashed by
We are
Bob
side by
Fitzgerald, Stanley
side
Walman.
for the lead as well, for the lead of the race. Alex Albert's just gone and taken it away from Giovanni Romano. So action everywhere we look.
Excellent eye, David. Yeah, I was watching this mid-pack, but wow, what a fantastic move by Alex Albert. Giovanni Romano. Yeah, he just dipped some tires into the grass there, and that was the end of his final sector. Alex Albert with a fantastic move on the outside. A very unconventional pass, but he got the job done for P1.
Molitor finding some pace in third place as well to stay with this battle for the race lead. We've had almost half of the field encounter some kind of issues or take their pit stop already. I see Paul Fitzgerald, Daniel Bartz on the pit lane as well. I think Romano might very well come under pressure briefly from Brian Molitor, who really seems to have some confidence in this car, and that's what it really seems like it's about, in the dark and across some very, very aggressive curbs and turtles. It's just a confidence in the car, because once it gets away from you, it really, really gets away from you. Romano very cautious through that backstretch chicane, through the snake pit. Molitor is going to try and size him up exactly where Albert did a lap ago, but it's not quite on this time. I can sense Molitor putting a little bit more pressure on Romano. Albert trying to get away in the lead of this race.
Yeah, he's really making the effort here. Brian Molitor really banging on the door of Giovanni Romano. I'm doing some quick lap time checks, and right now Alex Albert, he's in P1 because he is quickest on track with a 1:14.2. You mentioned some pit stops. It looks like right now pretty much everybody from P16 all the way down, with the exception of Eric Miller and Matthew Hall have not pitted, but David, we've got a big slew of cars that have taken their pit stops, and likely because of not strategy, but man, we've done some beating and banging on here, some wall smashing and some spinning. I don't think that's going to be the end of it by any stretch.
So then look behind that, John Patrick, Alexander Bueller fighting over 4th and 5th place there. Bueller is very much hoping that his paint scheme is going to give him wings in this battle. He's trying to hunt down Patrick. And the two of them will come into the final chicane, and we've seen this be a difficult place to get the car braked and turned and well, and again, another place where the curbs on the inside are very, very brutal indeed. Doesn't look like it's going to close up quite so much through turn 1. Battles continue, and Molitor is also still putting the pressure on Romano.
Yeah, still putting lots of pressure on Romano. This top group here is very quick. They're working their way past some lap traffic. I think that was Babs Nation and Jordan Babcock again. Just not his night. But yeah, this battle between P2 and P3, Brian Molitor, let's stick with this here because he's going to have himself a fantastic run coming into NASCAR 2 and 3. Now, he's going to need to get the job done before the second comes up here. I don't think Giovanni Romano is looking to give it to him easily. If he's going to make any sort of blocking maneuvers, Brian Molitor, yeah, he's just going to hang back, possibly give himself another opportunity, get a very good run. He gets a very good exit right there. Yeah, Giovanni Romano got a nice exit, but Brian Molitor just as equally good. And this draft, David, he made
behind as well. Bueller's taken the tighter line there. He's gone through into 4th ahead of John Patrick. So that backstretch chicane proving very, very difficult. And I think Molitor's been having some good runs because he's been keeping the lines tight, keeping it tidy, sort of taking the sort of autocross lines, the path of least resistance, rather than tracking it out all of the way. He's sort of getting to the apex, turning it, and squirting the throttle on the exit. And it seems like at slow speeds, opening up the throttle with too much steering angle on just doesn't quite work for this car.
No, you are definitely right, but somebody who has figured it out is our current leader, Alex Albert. He just put down fast lap of the race, a 1:14 dead. My goodness, is he quick out there? The next fastest lap. The lap has just been bested by Alexander Bueller with a 1:13.9. So, David, these guys are getting quicker here as these tires heat up and fuel levels drop. That temperature on track is still 80 degrees, so they're getting quick.
Romano then acting like a bit of a cork in the bottle because he's got Molitor still looking for a way to pass. But as you rightly point out, Bueller flying along, John Patrick staying in the midst as well. This is a 4-car battle at a second place, and Romano just doesn't seem to have the pace of all of the cars behind. He's a relatively consistent competitor though, so he's proving difficult to get past. Molitor has the pace, but just not enough of it in one place, in one braking zone around the circuit to be able to get the move done just yet.
Nah, he just hasn't quite done it yet. I am keeping an eye on P5. John Patrick. John Patrick is doing a fantastic job, slow and steady. And David, he's really doing a fantastic job of just avoiding the curves outright versus we're watching Brian Molitor and Alexander Bueller really pound some of these curves. John Patrick isn't touching them at all. As we almost watch him hit the wall right there on this inside circuit here. But he's lost a bit of time in the infield here, probably a bit cautious on some of that. But yeah, these guys have stretched out just a little bit. But yeah, John Patrick taking a little bit different line than these other guys, avoiding the curves altogether. And if you ask me, from what I've seen so far, that may be the best stretch. Oh, we have a car spinning down there.
Looks like Zach Price, and there's a couple more drivers on pit road as well. Tom Ellison for the second time, and Zach Price doesn't look pretty, so more drivers unfortunately coming unstuck in the lower rungs of the race. Romano is going to come under pressure from Molitor once again though.
Yeah, this is a really good battle. I'm going to ask our producer to go in car with Brian Molitor here. This is such a fun section to ride along here with these headlights blittering in the back of Giovanni Romano. And Brian Molitor's driving a very good race right now. So right there, just kissing the inside, and you want to take this out as much as you possibly can. That blue line really doesn't mean anything. Take this apex really as wide as you want. You really got to dive in here. And Brian Molitor, yeah, that is not an ideal line there. He's not going to get a very good run out of here. Oh, and he kisses the wall, David. And there's some sparks from Brian Molitor.
Doesn't look like any damage, but the sparks did fly there, and that might dent his confidence more than it's dented his car, because I don't see any damage on it from where I'm seated. But he, yeah, still doggedly pursuing Giovanni Romano, but hasn't found a chink in the armor just yet. And what next for Alexander Bueller behind, who we know can have some pace indeed? They're dropping John Patrick just a little bit as they continue to battle. Alex Albert's lead now almost 3 seconds. Just sort of waiting for Molitor to be able to pounce here.
Yeah, they really are. We've got just a hair over 33 minutes left in this race. Right now, pretty much everybody below the top 11 have taken a pit stop based on a strategy or likely a spin or damage issue. So this top group here, these guys are all running on strategy, on pit strategy, and on tire strategy per planned, unless we see some more incidents. But yeah, this battle here for 3, 4, and 5 is probably our best battle on track. Alex Albert, David, has just now taken the fast lap away from Alexander Bueller with a 1:13.96. That is 300ths faster. So Alex Albert continues to improve with some very, very blistering pace.
Yeah, the whole point of these radical cars is that they don't weigh a whole lot. So I don't see coming into the pit lane earlier and filling up your car unnecessarily with more weight of fuel being particularly beneficial. And that's why maybe some of these lap times continuing to improve as the cars get lighter and lighter. So they really don't weigh much. A lot of the weight is that weight of the fuel. Second, third, and fourth. I cannot take my eyes away from this. Brian Molitor still tempts us with the possibility that he might be able to find a way to stick a move to Giovanni Romano, and Bueller follows the two in front as well. And he was rather quick at dispatching John Patrick for 4th place. Now it's been a couple of laps. He's been riding along and not been able to find a way to attack or make inroads on the two in front.
No, I don't think they quite have yet, and it's very interesting to watch two very different lines here. Alexander Bueller and Brian Molitor taking... Oh, we watched Brian Molitor get very loose, David. He's got the tires hot coming on NASCAR 2 and 3 here. Whoa, excuse me, NASCAR 1 and 2. Brian Molitor, better screen, but yeah, just watching two very different lines, Alexander Bueller and Brian Molitor. Brian Molitor in that infield section is really almost missing the apex, is swooping as wide as he possibly can. Let's watch if they take different lines in the infield here. Yeah, Brian Molitor pounding the curbs, and Bueller not doing as so much, but Brian Molitor, very good run, David. Is he going to try and take a pass at Giovanni Romano here?
Romano did really check up in that backstretch chicane. Molitor's thinking about it. He's showing the nose. In the end, I don't think he was quite going to be able to do it, but that's the biggest look we've seen him take.
David,
Alex Albert troubles.
Yeah, David, that was our leader, Alex Albert, entering the final chicane, just completely locked up the rear spun, no contact with the wall. But David, he is by himself right now, coming back on track. And David, he spun twice in the infield. This is absolute disaster for Alex Albert. With 30 minutes left in this race, he safely re-enters, but those rear tires are hot. But David, he's dropped all the way down to 5th place with such a dominant lead. My goodness, this is not what Alex Albert wanted.
Locked the rears very early on the way into the final chicane and then trying to rejoin. There was no grip, so he went for a spin again. No damage to the car, but he'll be frustrated with that. He built up a bit of a lead and he's gone and lost all of it. And it goes to show that no matter where you are, this car is tricky to drive, tricky to keep pointed the right way. So Giovanni Romano, through his persistence, is now the leader of this race.
Yeah, he is, and with that, Brian Molitor and Alexander Bueller have also been promoted to P2 and P3. David, I'm keeping an eye on the pit strategy as we watch Brian Molitor take almost a look into the P1 opportunity. But yeah, right now we've got P9 all the way down of pit. Looks like we do have a few planned stops out there. Looks like Evan Merrill has taken a planned stop, a full pit lane, 43 seconds, a stop of 18 seconds. So let's keep an eye on some of that fuel strategy. But my goodness, is this battle for 2, 3, 4 pretty steamy.
Well, it's now for first, second, and third, isn't it? So Romano leading, Molitor in second, Alexander Bueller now provisionally in a podium position, and only 0.8 of a second away from the lead of the race. So I don't know if this increases the pressure on Giovanni Romano much, but he has now managed to pull just a little bit more gap on Molitor. Molitor has had a bit of a mistake. Bueller might now find that he has to move up into second place, otherwise he might get stuck behind Brian Molitor, but it's not going to happen into the backstretch chicane. And that's one of the places where Romano looks like he really has to slow the car up a lot more than the others. Doesn't get through there as well as he maybe does through some other sections of the circuit.
Yeah, I think, Molitor and Bueller, they're both studying each other's lines at this point. I think the final sector right there, no real opportunity, but some of these infield sections, you watch Brian Molitor get very tight up on Giovanni Romano, who is getting ready to experience our first round of kind of some legit lap traffic here. So Brian Molitor still running very, very strong, but yeah, then we've got 28 minutes left in this race, and let's watch how Giovanni Romano is going to navigate this traffic here to see if the traffic is going to behave or maybe be not so nice.
Well, he's got headlights on his car. I don't know if he can flash, and that's Andrew Fawcett in front of him, who has not immediately jumped out of the way. I think on the bank section of the course is probably where it's easiest to get on by some lap traffic, and Andrew Fawcett will go a little bit high and let Romano through. What about the pursuers of Molitor and Bueller? They are going to have to wait until after the chicane, so for a brief moment, Romano puts lap traffic between him and those two pursuing cars, but that relief does not last for long.
No, it does not. That was a massive checkup by Alexander Bueller as Brian Molitor had to brake early to let Crawford through there. And Bueller almost locked him up and rear-ended. Almost did what Alex Albert did early on with those rears, but safe braking by Alexander Bueller and saved it. Didn't have an issue, but going through again, this infield sector, Giovanni Romano running up again on another lap car. He's not going to want this. David, keeping an eye on the pit lane. No new pit stops. So right now, cars 1 through 9. Cars 1 through 9 have yet to pit. Giovanni Romano sweeping across the outside to work through that lap car.
Yeah, Matthew Hall, a lot of damage on that car early in the race. It's looking a lot better now. He's getting some laps scored. Molitor and Bueller go on through. So now nothing separates the lead three once again. Molitor is just not on Romano as much as he was a couple of laps ago. It's the most breathing space that Giovanni Romano has had since the beginning of this race.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of breathing room here. So got to wonder if anybody is thinking about some fuel-saving strategy right now, but I really don't think so, because Brian Moulter is looking to be driving pretty hard. I don't think Alexander Buehler is doing any fuel-saving or lifting either. You watch Brian Moulter absolutely pound the curbs into that last section. Okay, so let's study Brian Moulter going through here. He tends to be quicker than Giovanni Romano here, but Giovanni Romano has been very good entering NASCAR 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, getting very strong exits. But you watch the different lines here, this very swooping line by Giovanni Romano. You watch him get a big old bounce. Brian Moulter here really escapes the apex through both of these corners and then really dips in very late right there. Oh, David, did he touch the wall there?
Not sure, but it looks like these super heavy braking zones where Brian Molitor is a lot stronger. But once again, half a second to separate our top three in this race. Romano leading, Molitor right on it. Romano taking a defensive line, so Molitor goes to the high side. Is there room around the outside in this slow chicane? There is not. He yields and he spins. Brian Molitor can't put the power down safely, and he spins around. Does not hit the wall though, so Alexander Buehler goes through into second place. John Patrick is going to go up into third. Molitor gets it pointed the right way and gets it going just before Alex Albert comes through. So 2 spots lost for Brian Molitor. He thought he had a chance for the lead. He got too eager and it's cost him a little bit. He's going to pit now and try and reset and maybe try and undercut Giovanni Romano. So Molitor will go into the pit lane and Romano will continue in the lead of the race. Alexander Buehler now the pursuer.
Yeah, I really think that Brian Molitor, he did the right thing. He had the right idea. He just caught the curb with his right side tires. As we talked about, you get this car bouncing, that is really hard to recover. You've almost got to go a quarter throttle, third of the throttle to make it safe, and he just spun it all the way around. So yeah, that gifts Alexander Buehler with P2, and yeah, he also took his pit stop. So let's keep an eye on what Brian Molitor can do. But yeah, this looks like to continue to be our best battle on track. Hunter Reeve, David, and P10 has gained 19 positions. If I recall, you said he did not run a qualifying time, but he's having himself quite a race tonight, gaining almost 20 spots.
Yeah, fantastic. He's the second of all the drivers who've made a pit stop at the moment. He's got Nate Franklin behind, who may be closing, maybe not in some points. But yeah, Hunter Reeve indeed started out of 29th, so that is no qualifying time. But from what we've seen, he's now running up in 10th place, and the pace looks reasonable as well.
It does, and Alexander Buehler looking very racy on Giovanni Romano right now. So Giovanni Romano's going to get a little bit of help with this left car in front of him, going to get a bit of a tow, but Alexander Buehler looking very racy in the infield sector, making Giovanni Romano very aware that he is back. The lap car is going to take the high side, very, very respectful. And Buehler pulling back into the draft, going through this first chicane section, being very careful on the right side, very careful on the left side there, and working their way through. David, are we entering a potential pit stop situation for our top 2 cars here? I'm going to watch them go through here. Both of them, no, they're not going to go through. So we got 22 minutes left in this, and right now it's 7 cars on track have not pitted. Right now our highest running pitter is, yeah, it looks like Brian Molitor is our highest running pitter. He's down 3 spots in this race, but he has pitted, and he's currently 1.5 laps in on that stint. So I think we're quickly getting into this top fast group. Maybe some pit time.
Well, of course, in a 45-minute race, 22 minutes 30 seconds is the halfway point, and we've just crossed that. So certainly these drivers going beyond halfway in this race are going to need to pit sooner. Excuse me, that was a big sneeze. Sooner rather than later. So clearly these guys, Romano and Buehler, and also Patrick and Albert, all deciding to stay out as long as they can. But we'll definitely see some very scheduled pit stops soon.
Yeah, we'll skip the pit stop soon. I'm trying to see what else we have going on track here. I always like to call upon a few of the other drivers that are battling through. Let's go back to P10 Nate Franklin, who had a very difficult start of the race. He's working his way back up through the field, currently in P10, working his way and hunting down, dare I say, Hunter Reeve, who is now up to P9, up 20 spots in this race. Nate Franklin is 17 laps on his tires. Hunter Reeve is 18 laps on his tires. So both of these guys on pretty much equal footing. But my goodness, Nate Franklin, nice recovery drive. But David, this is not going to help his points battle with Giovanni Romano right now. Currently, they are tied in points, but this one's going to hurt a bit. And Alex Albert, he's also working his way back in as well. He's up to P4 after that very, very tough spin about several obstacles. You watch Nate Franklin avoid a spin on NASCAR 2 and 3.
Yeah, sad day for Babs Nation. Jordan Babcock facing the wrong way and has actually gone and taken a tow just there. But you mentioned Alex Albert in fourth place has just set the fastest lap of the race in his attempt to try and claw his way back towards the lead of the race. But he's just not quite doing it quick enough. He's still 10 seconds adrift of that battle between Romano and Bueller.
Yeah, he's got a bit of work to do. The car still looks in good shape. Well, now that I say that, I'm taking a quick look. We have a slight dip in his rear wing. I think that may be creating some aero efficiency, actually, so I'm not too worried about that. Looks like we have another car going into the pit lane here. Yeah, that is John Patrick. John Patrick is in pit lane. He was in P4, David, so looks like we may have hit the cliff on our pit stops. Let's watch out for this top group because I think the time is coming. John Patrick is in. He's likely going to take some fuel. I don't think these guys are taking tires tonight, but
Problems for our race leader, Giovanni Romano. And they are serious problems indeed. He's got quite a lot of damage on that. So we're going to get a replay of what happened. He was being pursued by Alexander Bueller, and it's lap traffic that Giovanni Romano has tangled with.
Oh, that is it.
Mountain Dew car of Sean Haug has tripped up Giovanni Romano. They've both gone into the wall, and Alexander Bueller now leads this race.
Yeah, David, that is just a disastrous scenario. That lap car just completely high-centered himself. He's watching Giovanni Romano avoiding the lap traffic again, going through that second chicane. Yeah, just that lap car high-centered himself, and Giovanni Romano had nowhere to go. David, tonight, our points leaders and runners-up are really having a heck of an evening. So Giovanni Romano definitely has no choice but to pit at this point. Hopefully he gets a nice, safe pit entry and working his way through. But man, that is tough to see. So he's going to take his fast repair, take his fuel. But I think, I don't want to count him out at this point. He's going to come out with some a very fresh car, some fuel to finish the race with that fast repair. But Alex Albert, this is going to give him a huge opportunity because Giovanni Romano had a very slow hit.
Yeah, time would have been lost in that accident and then limping the car back around to the pit lane. So we'll see where Romano ends up shaking out. But for the minute, Alexander Bueller leads, Alex Albert in second, and Antonio Alvarez, we know he likes to go long in most of the races as well. So he's running in third, also yet to pit. 17 minutes to go, and I imagine the drivers that we haven't seen pit yet, that's Alex Coffard, David Hall, and our top three, probably have to pit quite soon. Alexander Bueller stays out for at least one lap longer. He's just skipped pit entry, so he's racking up those laps led at this point, and if he can hold on to it, he's definitely in the seat for the race win now, because other drivers have fallen away, the likes of Alex Albert going for a spin, Giovanni Romano, the issues we just talked about, and Ryan Molitor as well. So it has not been easy for anyone. No one has run much of a clean race except for Bueller and maybe Alvarez at the moment, maybe only Bueller, and that's kind of what it seems like it takes in this car at this circuit. I thought it was going to be difficult. It's not an easy car to keep pointing the right way, and this is not a forgiving circuit by any means.
No, you're right, and we are teetering on the announcer's curse on Alexander Bueller. But David, he's looking very, very good tonight. He's looking very, very racy. He's coming through the final sector here. We're going to ask our producer to keep on him here. He's going through NASCAR 3 and 4. I really think a pit stop has to come for Bueller either on this lap or the next. I don't know why he would stay out. But he goes right on by, so that's why I'm up here and he's down there. He knows what his car needs, and he's going to continue to stay out. But yeah, my goodness, Bueller really running the fuel mileage tonight because yeah, right now there's only 5 cars that have not yet pit. So Bueller, as he taps the wall right there with the pit exit wall, little sparks flying. David, Alexander Bueller, he's pushing it, but I don't know if he needs to right now.
Well, Alvarez jumps in from 3rd, and Bueller, remember, ran a lot of this race in the pack behind some other drivers like John Patrick and like Giovanni Romano. It's drivers like maybe Alvarez and Alex Albert that have spent a lot more of the race in clean air that'll definitely have to pit before Alexander Bueller needs to, even if the difference is only a lap or so. Alvarez has pitted. Ryan Molitor and Alex Coffin are battling over, well, it's going to become 5th place.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a pit party going on right now. So, yeah, Antonio Alvarez is in. We've got Steve Sims. David Hall is also in. And, yeah, our leader is in. Alexander Bueller is now in the pit lane. So let's keep a close eye to see how this shakes out. He is gone, yeah, with just 14 minutes left in this race. He's gotten the farther.
Yeah, and Alex Albert follows him in as well. The only other driver yet to pit is Alex Coffard, so I assume we'll maybe see him in as well. But Alexander Bueller finds his pit stall, and they begin fueling. Car remains firmly planted, all 4 tires on the ground. Alex Albert finds his pit stall, gets his rear wing and front canards rearranged into the factory positions. So Bueller, a bit more fuel than I would have expected. He stood stationary a couple seconds longer than other drivers have done in the same position. Alex Albert's going to come out just only a couple seconds behind him. Bueller rejoins into the race lead with John Patrick right up behind him. Patrick had a much quicker stop a couple of laps ago. So Bueller has rejoined into the lead of the race. No worries about fuel to get to the end, but maybe he was a little too conservative there, as he's got Patrick a second behind him. Albert 2 seconds further behind that, and another 3 seconds behind that is Giovanni Romano. 13 minutes of racing still to go. I don't know if Patrick has the pace, but Albert certainly might. Albert's pit lane time about 6 seconds quicker than Alexander Bueller.
Yeah, I was just going to call that out as well. Yeah, Alexander Bueller did a 45.3 versus John Patrick and Alex Albert did almost a 39.5. So yeah, a much longer pit stop, but I think, you know, if he took a little extra fuel, looking to play it safe, I think he has the pace right now, but this has really tightened things up between our top group here. But right now, John Patrick is hunting down Alexander Bueller. He's going to go through this infield section, which Alexander Bueller has been very quick at. But this is a drafting track. You stay within, you know, roughly a second and a tenth. You're going to get that draft back on those straightaways. So John Patrick has got himself in a very nice position. But Alexander Bueller, he's coming up on some lap traffic. We've already seen some disaster that can lead to for some of our other drivers, more specifically Giovanni Romano. So Alexander Bueller needs to be very careful with just over 12 minutes left in this race.
Indeed, my numbers saying that means 10 laps to go as well. So the objective is survive. Taking some rather odd lines trying to break the draft is Alexander Bueller. I'm not quite sure how well that'll work for him. John Patrick has not given up on this. Over 8th place, Alex Coffard has just pitted. He was the last driver to do so. He's come out right around Michael Derby.
Yeah, Michael Derby's car is looking a bit worse for wear, but we love our original producer, Michael Derby. He's taken some time away from the producer booth, and he loves to be on the racetrack. He's earned himself a good race tonight. He's up 4 spots, chasing down Alex Coppert, who's up 1 spot. These guys have separated out just a little bit, but these guys are looking good. Yeah, Michael Derby's got a little bit of damage on the rear, possibly received some persuasion from another driver. Very late on the brakes right here, a little better cover. Oh, Derby goes a little wide there. Watch out for that. Watch out for that wall we kind of mentioned in that early practice. So this gap has separated out just a little bit. Let's go back out front with John Patrick, who continues to hunt down Alexander Buehler.
Yep, that gap now 3/10 as Patrick is solidly placed in the slipstream of Alexander Buehler towards the backstretch chicane. He shows the nose, but he is not close enough. But Buehler locks up, goes in very deep indeed. Patrick's going to try and cross back underneath. The time these two have lost means Alex Albert's now within a second of the lead as well. 10 minutes to go. 3 cars in this battle for the lead, and the pressure has gotten to Alexander Buehler. Patrick's going to go for another look down the inside into the final chicane. He gets there. There's room, and these two lose quite a bit of time. Alex Albert says thank you very much, puts his nose into second place, nearly 3 wide into turn 1. Buehler, Albert, Patrick, and Albert's going to try and go around the outside of turn 1, around the outside of turn 2. He just gets chopped off. He was looking to get to the inside of this next section of corners, but in going for the lead of the race there, John Patrick has lost out to Alex Albert. And these guys battling has cost them 3 seconds and brought Giovanni Romano into the picture as well. It's a 4-car fight for the lead out of nowhere.
Yeah, David, I was just getting ready to call that a Giovanni Romano, but again, he's stuck behind a lap car who almost hits him coming into NASCAR 1 and 2. So Giovanni Romano and lap traffic are not his friends tonight. But with just under 10 minutes left in this race, I think he's going to gain all that time as we go side by side.
Albert goes for the lead around the outside into the backstretch chicane, and he gets it away from Alexander Buehler, who is a lot more tentative on the brakes. Buehler is within range to strike back into the next chicane, though, because there is nothing to separate them whatsoever. Albert has had troubles on the brakes into this chicane before. That's how he lost the lead in the first place. He goes in a little bit deeper than Buehler that time, but it works out. So Alex Albert will once again, in the last 10 minutes, go back to the lead of the race, cross that start-finish line, scored in the lead. Buehler in second, Patrick in third. Giovanni Romano's worked his way around that traffic. He's now trying to put his pace down once again, make his mark on this race. So lead of the race, if you're counting, has changed maybe 2 times in 2 laps.
Yeah, it's definitely getting spicy up there. And as you talk about Giovanni Romano, he's working his way back up. So of this group here, Giovanni Romano, on that last lap, he was the fastest car on the track by about 2/10. So these guys have fallen back in line, but Alex Albert, we saw him at the very start of the race. If he gets some clean air out in front, he is extremely, extremely quick. So let's keep an eye on some of his lap times. But Alexander Buehler was driving extremely aggressively and has almost lost it a few times. So watch these guys really check up here. John Patrick giving the left front tire a little bit of flat spot there coming through here. But these guys getting a little bit spaced out here, but it's getting close to, as they say, hammer time with some other race driver in Formula 1. I don't want to remember what his name is, but Dave, we got 8 minutes left.
Alicia Milton?
Yeah, I believe that is it. So they're driving like Moesha here. So let's see what's going on. And we've got another pit stop. Ben Fawcett is in the pits. I think that is likely a damage issue, but all pit stops are done. Everybody's finalized. It is go time in this race. Alexander Buehler, he's got to make up some time. He's just not doing it right now. I believe he was typically quicker on the infield, but he's really struggling to catch back up with Alex Albert. He's worked his way through right now. Very good fun coming out of NASCAR 1 and 2.
Yeah, that section onto the oval is very, very tricky. There's no room on the outside where the wall is. And a car like this becomes rather unsettled on that bump up onto the oval. Will manage it, and Buehler is pushing hammer and tongs now to try and get back to that lead of the race. He got a great run off the backstretch chicane. He pulls a little bit out of the draft though, on the way to the final chicane, which surprises me somewhat. But see what he can do through the final chicane. He's a little gutsier on the entry, maybe not as strong on the exit. Albert now has 6/10, although Bueller was slightly quicker overall on that lap. His run out the final corner wasn't as strong. Patrick, I thought, would have come under more pressure from Giovanni Romano at this point, but he's doing a great job to hold on to third.
Now, he's doing a great job to holding on to third, but I'm watching these lap times again. It looks like Alex Albert may be getting his mojo back, and he's become very, very quick on these last 2 laps. And Giovanni Romano just cannot get himself close enough to John Patrick to make even an option for him, or maybe an opportunity for him to make a pass. So right now, these guys are pretty much level on lap times. 1:14.4, Alex Albert, 1:14.3. Bueller, John Patrick, 14.6, and Giovanni Romano, 14.7. So, David, these guys are kind of settling in right now, possibly with a few minutes left in this race. Us barring a mistake, somebody's got to make a push here, and they're all pretty much on equal footing in terms of laps. Alex Albert and Alexander Bueller are 7 laps on fuel and pit strategy. But David, I'm just starting to wonder if this is how it's going to look for the rest of the race, unless somebody makes a mistake or somebody finds a second gear. And I'm referring to Alexander Bueller.
Once again, you just sense that surely something has to happen. The driver in this pack with the shortest pit stop was John Patrick. He probably won't have any fuel worries because of how many laps he's done with this double tow of Albert and Bueller in front of him. Albert, big slide, manages to hold it. I think that spooked Bueller behind him as well. I thought Albert was going to be toast there. He holds on to it. Goes to show that even after more than 40 minutes of racing, these drivers still don't quite have a handle on these difficult little machines.
Yeah, that was a heck of a save by Alex Albert coming into that very difficult up over the hill right-hander. A little too much trail brake really sent that back end around, almost around, and really unsettled the car. But Alex Albert really up on the wheel there, able to save it. Also interestingly, he wasn't able to spin the tires, because once these tires get hot, my goodness, does this car get unstable. As you watch him come to this final sector again, Alex Albert is so much quicker and just driving with so much more confidence in that final sector than Alexander Bueller. As they watch Alex Albert lock up the left front there, he needs to be careful as he's approaching some lap traffic. He needs to make sure that his tires are in the best condition they possibly can, because he's got 1 and 2 lap cars in front of him with just right at, David, 4 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of traffic coming up indeed. The first car he's going to come across looks like it's going to be Ryan Verhulst. Let's see how this goes. He might catch him just as they get onto that banking, which is definitely the easiest way to get past some lap traffic. The circuit's nice and wide there. You've got all of the apron that Ryan Verhulst chooses to run on as our lead for speed on by... Next car after that is David Hall, I think, who's running out of 11th. So, reasonable race for him, up 5 positions. Turns his battle for the lead. Bueller closes in just a couple of car lengths, closes in a couple of tenths. The lead is yo-yoed between 8 tenths and 3 tenths that it is right now. The exit here we do see typically going in the favor of Alex Albert, and it does once again. Interesting to see, how much time is out there that these guys just aren't confident to push for. When you can see one driver's 3 tenths quicker here, the other driver's 3 tenths quicker there. They're putting in similar lap times while the gap yo-yos around massively. If you could get each driver's optimal sectors and put them together, you'd blow these times out of the water.
Yeah, definitely right. We are taking a quick look back at Giovanni. Watch John Patrick lock up Giovanni Romano. Possible opportunity. This is not a really good place to pass on the outside here. You need a good exit. That was potentially an opportunity, but if you're going to make a mistake, you're probably going to want to do it right there, because the car right behind us really leaves no opportunity. So Giovanni Romano now right, just at 2 minutes. I don't know if it's quite desperation time. Yeah, he's going to lift right here, but let's go back from Alex Albert running into some lap traffic. Alexander Bueller, he may have an opportunity here.
Yep, certainly. I think it'll be 2 laps to go this time for our leaders. See the clock has 2 minutes left on it. And so they have both Albert and Bueller cleared that lap car of David Hall, now with the job of John Patrick and Giovanni Romano. And David Hall doing a fantastic job to stay clear of these battles that we have for our top 4. Problems there for John Patrick. He's around. A little bit of damage for him. And Romano threw into third, but we'll see what happened to John Patrick, who was trying to hold on to third place.
Yeah, that car just, it was almost identical to the incident that happened to Alex Albert. Self-induced, just got a little too heavy on the trail braking. Car went around, no saving that. John Patrick may have to settle for a 4th place tonight. Alex Albert P1, Alexander Bueller P2, and Giovanni Romano now claiming P3.
John Patrick will be lucky if he holds on to that 4th place from Brian Molitor, who is trying to come through as well. But 1 minute left. And it's removed Giovanni Romano really from contention for the win here. It's all down to Albert and Bueller.
Yeah,
Look now, they've got this final chicane, and then the white flag will wave on our competitors. Bueller really needs to get a great run onto the oval sections, I think, if he's going to find any way to get past. White flag, they are on the final lap.
Yeah, white flag indeed, and it looks like, yeah, we're going to stay with this battle here. But so Alex Albert, he's likely going to hit this lap car in front of him. I'm keeping an eye on timing and scoring. Brian Molitor and John Patrick continue to battle here, but let's stay with this lead, or stay with this battle as we are on the final lap. Let's watch Alex Albert. He had a bit of an issue here earlier. David, he almost did it again, getting a little squirrely on that big hill right there. So Bueller looking for a very strong exit here. David, yeah, this is as close as he's been.
Yeah, it's 5/10 now. Bueller, is he strong enough on the brakes to find a move anywhere? I'm not sure. Next car that might go a lap down is Andrew Fawcett. In fact, I don't think he'll play any role in this at all. So 2 more braking zones. Bueller goes in way too deep into the back stretch chicane. It was all he could do to try and force a mistake out of Alex Albert, but it didn't work. Now Albert enjoys a little bit of breathing room and has 1 more section of corners to go. And he navigates it far more safely than he did earlier in the race. The checkered flag will now wave for him, and he's the winner of season 27, round 7. We had many, many lead changes in this race, but when it mattered, Alex Albert leads and wins ahead of Bueller, Romano. Brian Molitor did sneak his way past John Patrick, and I think we might still have a battle to the line between Nate Franklin and Michael Derby over 7th and 8th.
Yeah, I think we do here. Let's watch these guys coming through.
Damage for both of them. Nate Franklin was about a second a lap slower last time around, so Derby might be able to close in for a move on the final corner. It would be, again, a low percentage move, but both these guys driving around with a little bit of damage. Derby is closing, but he's not going to be close enough on the brakes into the final corner. It'll have to be a mistake out of Franklin, which he doesn't make, but Derby makes it a side-by-side to the checkered flag. He tried everything there, but Franklin just holds on for 7th and 8th. Nice of those guys to put on a little bit of a show. Only 2 more cars on the lead lap that are going to cross over, and we can show you the results now. It's Alex Albert, our winner, by 1.5 seconds ahead of Alexander Bueller. Podium completed by the purple machine of Giovanni Romano. Behind them, Brian Molitor's persistence rewarded as he picks up 1 more position from John Patrick, who comes in 5th. Antonio Alvarez gets 6th, and then that battle we saw there where Michael Derby was not giving up on trying to get 7th place from Nate Franklin, but in the end they do finish 7th and 8th, Franklin and Derby. Over the page, Alex Coffard in 9th and Andrew Fawcett in 10th. David Hall in 11th. 12th goes to Ryan Verhulst ahead of David Adamczyk, and then 14th, Paul Fitzgerald. 15th, Jordan Babcock after making 3 trips to pit lane, and then in 16th, Matthew Hall, also an effective retirement, but a driver with 3 trips to pit lane. Round out our classified results here. Sean Haug in 17th, Stephen Sims a couple more laps down in 18th, 18th, and it's functionally retirements from here. Hunter Reeve in 19th, Shane Cameron 20th, Evan Merrill 21st, Zach Price 22nd, Tom Ellison 23rd, Justin Hall in 24th, Daniel Bartz 25th, 26th, Eric Miller, Ben Fawcett 27th, Stanley Wahlberg only completed 8 laps, and Justin Lamons did not take the start.
David, thank you for the heavy lifting reading that very large field we had tonight. I have grabbed ourselves likely a very exhausted, a very tired, and a very sweaty P1 finish tonight, Alex Albert. Alex, congratulations on your win tonight, sir. A bit of a recovery drive for you tonight to talk about your race and talk about what happened early.
Yeah, so early on in the race, right from the green flag, we had a bit of excitement there with the leader running through the chicane. So tried to take advantage of that, was able to get around him, but Gio found me pretty hard. So rode behind Gio for a couple laps, took a couple looks, and I could tell it wasn't going to be easy tonight. So sailed one in there in the final chicane, took the lead, and then I started to walk away a bit and not really sure what happened coming into that final chicane. It felt like the suspension broke, but it seemed fine after that. So I must have just dropped a tire in the grass and spun. Lost probably 10 seconds there getting it pointed the right way. Got it going mostly the right way, and then spun again and had to loop it again. But yeah, after that, I just put my head down and really drove. And then I started clicking off, fastest laps, just trying to run down those guys. And then I think they made some mistakes and made it a little easier on me.
Yeah, Alex, speaking of fast lap, you do also finish with fast lap of the race with a 1:13.856. So congratulations on that as well. Talk us about that infield section, that uphill looper there on the right side. We saw you drift that a few times. Why is that such a difficult corner?
I think it's just the change in the elevation, and I maybe wasn't getting the shifts just right. You really got to blip this car, otherwise you put a shock through the drive line, and then that shock leads to the tires, and then they break traction. So one of the things that we were talking about to the guys new to this car in practice is if you feel the car slide, you just have to maintain a slide. If you try to counter steer and correct it, that usually makes it worse. So I was just trying to ride those slides out, wait for those slick tires to hook up, and they were able to carry us home to victory.
Well, Alex, congratulations on your win tonight, and also, most importantly, extending your points lead over Giovanni Romano, and a very tight battle for P2 and P3 with those boys tied there. So, Alex, congratulations on your win tonight. Any thanks or shoutouts?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to Andrew Fawcett Designs. I don't know if you noticed, but I had a new livery on my car tonight. So that was courtesy of Andrew Fawcett Designs. He's available in Trading Paints. So check him out. And also, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Well, that is a very special moment there from Alex Albert. And David, the next person in our grid is going to be Giovanni Romano up here in the booth because the ever elusive Alexander Bueller, we've never seen him on the track or in the booth post race. So, David, Giovanni Romano in P3 is all yours.
Yeah, Alexander Bueller always snips his way out of the paddock unseen, but in third place, and man who led some laps, Giovanni Romano. No one could keep this car pointing the right way all race long, but I think we have to feel for you because came unstuck through the traffic there. How difficult is that to take?
Well, with a big grid today and a very fast lap, there's definitely a lot of traffic to deal with, and we were all dealing with it all race. Unfortunately, I got caught up with one lapper. It's just one of those racing deals. I watched back the replay, and he got up on the sausage curb, and his car was basically beached, and I ran into the back of him. So it's unfortunate that happened. But otherwise, it was a wild race and pretty fun.
Championship wise, what's the takeaway from this? Third place could have been a lot worse than that, and you're sort of maybe engaged in a bit of a battle over second place, and in the championship, and I think this really helps you with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, I think I needed a win in order to keep up with Alex. But otherwise, it's definitely a huge battle for second. I was looking at the points. There's probably like 4 or 5 drivers within a small amount of points. So that's going to be interesting. Probably going to come down to the final round.
Yeah, and talk to us about the pit strategy here, because we've got quite a few cars that made one pit stop, a few that through unfortunate reasons had to make more than that, but could go a long way into the race if you decided you wanted to on the fuel.
Yeah, so my strategy from the start was just to take a few gallons of fuel, and that was it. I'm not sure what happened on the pit cycle because after that spin in my accident, I should have been well behind Bueller. But then when I came back out, when after the stops round of stops went through, I was only about 5 seconds behind them. So I don't know if they took more fuel or if they took tires. I'm not sure. I'd have to watch the replay back to figure it out. I don't know if you guys saw what happened.
Yeah, definitely a long stop from Bueller, and then there was some battles in front of you that really gave you the opportunity to close back into that lead battle. As it looked like overtaking was quite difficult, despite how strong the slipstream appeared.
Yeah, the draft's very strong, but the fixed setup would top out a little bit earlier than you'd like, especially coming out of oval turn two. Uh, I know late in the race there, I was trying to catch JP, and just as I was getting a run on him, and just hit the limiter, and like, well, can't do anything now.
Well, congratulations. Last step on the podium for you. Decent haul of points. Anyone you want to thank?
The usual suspects. Thanks to the admins for hosting the league, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast. It's all very much appreciated.
We are delighted to have you. And in lieu of being able to speak to our second place finisher, we've sort of shuffled it down a little bit further. And, Aaron Thacker has decided he wants to speak with our fifth place finisher, John Patrick.
I have snagged John Patrick. P4 Brian Molitor is also, he may have snuck out the side door with Alexander Bueller. So, JP, fantastic drive tonight, sir. You qualified P5, finished in P5. How did the car feel out there tonight? Things got rubbered in. What do these new curbs feel like in this car? I know this car is always scary on curbs, but are these a little more forgiving with this new layout?
Yeah, in the final chicane, I was taking a pretty good amount of curb on the first one. Getting the corner out of it, and it didn't damage the car, and it didn't upset it too much. So I kept hitting it pretty much every lap after I got settled in. So I would say they're not quite as killer as they used to be.
Now we really enjoyed seeing the draft here, but really talk about some of the passing opportunities. I think that the backstretch chicane, I think that's a very dangerous place to go. But it looks like we saw many opportunities, guys approaching that final chicane, really making a move on the inside. But then you're stuck on the outside lane. So where really are the passing opportunities here?
It just seems like both of the corners after the banking. So I don't know what it's called now. It used to be the snake pit, and then the final chicane were really the only places where I felt like you could do one without the guy in front of you making a big mistake to open the door for you.
Yeah, that was really interesting to watch. Really, everybody trying to find something. So, John Patrick, good man. Congratulations on the good drive tonight. Before this race, you were P7 in points. This is definitely going to help you with some of that haul, as we saw some of our top drivers have a pretty rough night. So, congratulations, sir, in a P5 finish. Any thanks or shouts before you head out of the booth?
I want to give a shout out to my fiance. We're getting married in 2 weeks, so we're pretty excited about that. And I don't think I'll have a chance to give her a shout out until then. So I wanted to do that, and shout out to all the other mods and for you guys doing the broadcast.
Thank you, sir. Well, don't forget to tell your fiance to like and subscribe so she can hear that shout out. So, David, that wraps up the booth interviews tonight. We saw a good one, we saw a spicy one, and it was a bit messy out there.
Yeah, the car did not look easy. This circuit, not forgiving at all. There's walls everywhere. So the drivers who were successful and came home with the points were the drivers who could not only avoid other drivers or avoid the tendencies of the car, and they could also avoid the walls. So we are back again with Reddit iRacing League on the 8th of December. We are taking a week off. I'm going to guess that's Thanksgiving. Yeah, okay. So we're back in 2 weeks' time, and it's going to be one of the old Dallara Indy cars at Daytona Oval. So that will be very, very fast, I am sure. And again, another race of strategy and survival as we look to crown Season 27's Reddit iRacing League champion. We hope you'll join us for that in a couple weeks' time here on HJBC. That's also a Champ Car Sim Series Championship week as well, where there's only 2 rounds remaining in that this year. So do tune in to all the action that will be coming at you on HJBC as we look to crown some champions in our coverage. Thank you so much for watching. Please join us again soon. I'm David Haynes, alongside me, Aaron Thacker, and in the production, the one, the only, never lift, Kyle Smith. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Good night.